So you're thinking about moving to Flagstaff, Arizona. My name's Tammy and this is Flagstaff Arizona Living, and I want to give you all the tips and tricks to living in Flagstaff. Today, I want to talk about 6 things you should know before moving to Flagstaff. If you know anything about Flagstaff, you know that we are at high elevation. We are actually at 7,000 feet. Now, before I moved here, I met a girl in Portland, Oregon, and she said, Flagstaff is my favorite place on earth. I want to live there for the rest of my life. She still does not live here. She still lives in Oregon. But at the time, she let me know it's at 7,000 feet. And I was like, well, why does that matter? Well, one of the reasons why it matters is because it can actually be really hard to breathe up here. So oftentimes when we have visitors come see us, they may not be feeling very well for the first couple of days. So it's kind of like just getting acclimated to the elevation. Most people are totally fine here. I've never had a problem living here for the past, 15 years. But definitely when I'm exercising, if I'm really pushing myself hard, I'm like, okay, I can feel that the air is thin. Other people that might have like COPD or a heart condition of some kind may not be able to handle visiting here, let alone living here. So that is something that you should take into consideration before moving here. Another thing that goes along with our elevation is that we get a lot of snow. Now, we don't have snow every single day, November through April, but you're not allowed to park on the roads November through April. If there is no snow, like right now we had a snowstorm a couple weeks ago, but all the snow is melted, so people can start parking on the roads again without getting into trouble. But if there is any snow, if there is any reason why a snowplow might be coming down your road, you need to be off the road. And so a lot of people might get into like a rental that has 6 people living there and there's 6 cars. All 6 cars have to be off the road. So that means you need to make sure your garage is cleared. So 2 cars can go in the garage, 2 cars can go on the driveway behind you, and then a lot of times we add pavers on the side of our driveway so that you can scooch up next to them. Other times they might ask a neighbor if they can park on their driveway if they might only have 2 cars, but it is your responsibility to figure out where to park during the winter. So make sure that you have figured that out before moving up here. Also, make sure you have snow tires or all-weather tires. You don't have to have a Jeep or a truck to live here, but you do need good tires. I used to drive a minivan and I was slipping and sliding all over the road. I changed my tires and I was totally fine. So just take all these things into consideration. Remember, high elevation, snow, do your research before moving up here. Okay, the next thing that you should know is we have expensive housing. So living here is kind of, I wouldn't say it's double from living in a bigger city like Phoenix, but it is maybe at least 25% more expensive to live here. I would say the apartment costs are similar to what it is in LA. So my son lives in LA and he pays $1,000 a month for a bedroom in a 3-bedroom house. And that is very similar to what you would pay here. So if you're moving in to an apartment, you would have to have your first and last month's rent, plus the rent's gonna be at least $1,000 a month. If you just want 1 bedroom, 1 bath, it might be even more expensive, like $1,500. If you're looking to purchase a home, I would say every home that's in the $400,000 range is a fixer-upper or a manufactured home. There are some brand new homes in Belmont, which is 10 miles west of Flagstaff, and they're in the $500,000 range. And honestly, it's 10 minutes down the freeway, so it's not a bad option. Also, about 5 miles south of Flagstaff, it's still considered the Flagstaff city limits, called Mountain Air and Kachina, and they're more of like cabin-style homes. There's no HOA out there, so there are like $1 million homes out there, and then there's closer to $350,000 to $450,000, $100,000 homes. So we can definitely find you what you're looking for if you have a budget above $300,000. If you don't, I honestly don't know if there's any place here in Flagstaff where you can live. A lot of the lots, vacant lots, are going for $650,000, which is insane. If you want to go out to like Williams, you could probably, I know that I have some land that I'm selling right now that's $16,000 out in Williams. It's kind of out in the middle of nowhere. You do have to water haul, but you could probably park an RV or a manufactured home out there. And so I'm not sure how much manufactured homes are right now, but that is another option. So we do have options here. Sometimes you just have to get creative, and it really just depends on how close you want to be to town. Another thing that is interesting about Flagstaff is we are a dark sky city. I'd never heard of what a dark sky city was until I lived here. And basically it just means in the wintertime when you're driving down the roads, it's really hard to see. We keep all of our street lights dim and all of the house lights are dim. Any storefronts, they need to have their lights either off or dim during certain times. And one of the reasons for this is because we have this big observatory here called the Lowell Observatory. It's where Pluto was discovered, and it's a really fun place to visit as families or just on your own. But when I have my windows tinted, sometimes I have to roll down my windows, stick my head out to make sure that I'm not going to hit something because I have a steep driveway, and when I'm coming down, I can't see. There are no street lights throughout here, or if there are, they're very, very dim. So just be aware of that. It's an interesting part of Flagstaff. The next one that I would say is that Flagstaff is not easy to get to, but it's worth it. So we are 2 hours away. We're 2 hours north of Phoenix. We are 1 hour south of the Grand Canyon, and we have Williams 30 miles to the west and Winslow 30 miles to the east, and 30 miles to the south is Sedona. So we have a lot of great places to visit, and it's so beautiful here. I just drove to Utah for Thanksgiving, and we stopped at Horseshoe Bend, which is right before Page, which is where Lake Powell is, and it's just really amazing. So it may not always be easy to get to, but it is worth it. We do have a very small airport here with one airline that flies in and out of Flagstaff. And so you can get right here into town. It just, you usually have to stop in Phoenix and then take a little plane that takes 30 minutes to get here, or you can hop on a shuttle and it's a 2-hour drive up the hill. Finally, I would like to talk about our employers. So a lot of people, when they go through a small town, they're like, how do people live here? What do they do? So one of our three biggest employers that I would say beyond like school district, hospitals, etc., is Gore, WL Gore, which is an engineering company. They make all sorts of things. They make like heart stents and casts, and then they also have outdoor gear like shoes and coats. You might have, like back when I was growing up in the 80s and 90s, Gore-Tex was kind of something that was more in my head. NAU is a huge employer. It just keeps growing and growing. So we have lots of staff that works over there, as well as whether it's administrative staff, janitorial staff, all of the professors, people that help with housing. That's a huge contributor to our staffing here. The railroad is another big staffer, and they make pretty good money. I've always told people, if you're looking to have a career, the railroad is a good career. It is tough as far as family hours go, but they have great benefits, and you just have to be willing to be on call. And I don't know all the things that go into it, but I do know a lot of people that work for the railroad, and they have a pretty good lifestyle. And the last one that we have is Purina. We have a Purina factory here. So that has goods and bads. It's a great employer, but it kind of smells. So if you're baking dog food, you can imagine what that would smell like. On our east part of town, occasionally when you're out there, you're like, wow, okay, I can smell the Purina factory. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're living here. I would say that there are jobs. If you are a committed, dedicated employee and you're looking for a job, we can definitely find something for you up here. It may be like a career shift. You might have to move into a department that you haven't been in before, but we are always looking for people who are ready for a nice long career. So those are all the things that I think you should know about Flagstaff before moving here. If you guys are interested in learning more, go ahead and like and subscribe my page. You can tap the bell for notifications, and please reach out to me if you are coming into town and want to look around or see any homes. Thanks. Have a great day.